Hi, and welcome to Decoding AQ, helping you to learn the tools, mindsets, and actions to thrive in an ever-changing world. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Decoding AQ. Today with me, I have Claudia Noriega-Bernstein. She actually originally grew up in Peru. We're going to find out a bit more about her career starting in television at the age of 17. And now resides in Las Vegas. She's an abundance coach. She's published many books and a creative art director. So welcome, Claudia.
Thank you so much for having me. This is such a treat. I've been listening to your podcast, and it's such a variety of guests that you have, and so many, oh my God, so many important things that we need to have in our mind and be present about it. And then you hear it from somebody else and it's like, oh, wow, I never saw it that way. Never saw that perspective. So I have been enjoying your podcast so much. I'm going to start listening to Whitney because I think she's fabulous. So yeah,
some
loved
good.
It.
I feel, what a great adventure you can have through the medium of podcasts to go and meet amazing, eclectic people that are willing to share their journeys, share what they've picked up along the way. And it's interesting, you mentioned about everyone has their own kind of perspective that can resonate with us, can hit us at a right moment and a right time. And I was listening to you being interviewed actually by your husband on his talk show.
Yeah.
And there was a piece in there that resonated with me. And it was about the importance of setting the tone for the day that when we first get up. So share a little bit more about that practice, how you bring maybe some of your key pillars in your life and begin the day in a particular way. So why don't we start there, Claudia?
Perfect. So I think it's very important how we wake up in the morning, how we face the day. I think gratitude is the most important thing that we could do or we can do to set the right tone. So I started when my kids were little to send them, a little message. Of course, at that time, they didn't have cell phones, so it was a little harder. I would write something in a piece of paper, put it in the refrigerator, and kind of teach them how to read that. So they would starting to get the meaning of having a mantra or an affirmation every day. So coincidentally, I'm going to show you. Coincidentally, today in the morning, this is the message I sent to them. I don't know if you can see it, but it says, if it's to be, it's up to me. I love you. I said, I have a podcast from 10 to 11. I love you. So I let them know because I know my phone is going to ring. So I want to make sure that it doesn't. But I do that every morning because I think it's important. And I don't know if they had a bad night because they're all adults now, so they don't live with me. And I don't know what kind of a night they have. I don't know if they had nightmares or they break up with their boyfriend the night before. I don't know because I'm not living with them. So I want to make sure that no matter what happened, they have the opportunity to shift and say, you know what? I'm going to have a good day today because if it's to be, it's up to me.
I love it. And it comes a lot, in terms of things like NLP, the language we use and what language we choose to have and how that affects us. So starting the day, I remember one guy very similar. He says, you've got to start every day big. You've got to start it big. Begin in gratitude. And it was just a really nice, lovely way. And the fact that it was very similar, you talked about your children, that you're not around them anymore. They've grown up. How do we know what they've been up to? Similar when we're with our teams, when we're leading people, when we have now lots of remote workers, how do we know what's gone on in their lives? What's happened? So that ability to influence maybe when they get up, when they first connect, how they feel. And I remember another piece where you were talking about self-talk, one of your people that you were coaching, each time they came to you, they would come and say, look, I'm in a really bad place. I'm in a really bad place. And how much that perpetuates that feeling. So how did you help and how would you help people who have maybe got some negative talk when they get up in the morning, they feel overwhelmed, they check social media and they go into a spiral? What can you do to help with that?
You know, the first thing I would say is don't go into your phone as soon as you wake up. But sometimes I do that, you know, we fall into that. Or maybe you're asleep and somebody calls you and you already have the phone in your hand. So why not just go and check social media or go and check whatever? But I do believe that two things I want to talk about. The conversations we have with ourselves is so, so important, because we begin to collect evidence and those limited beliefs become a fact and we're stuck there. You know what I'm saying? We're like, okay, I'm not going to be able to do this. So I have a horrible day. I am going to be so busy. Oh my God, my schedule is so overwhelming today. So you getting up from bed already tired, go back to bed. I mean, if you are not able to have a good conversation with yourself, how are you going to have a good conversation with somebody else? And I always tell my girls, you know, in life, you have to be like in the plane. Grab the oxygen mask on first, put it on you first, and then you can help everybody else. Because if you start helping everyone and your cup start getting smaller, 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 empty, 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 then not only you won't be able to share your gift, but also you're not going to be able to be in a good place yourself. And we need to start with ourselves. Everything starts with ourselves. Love, respect, caring, kindness, everything starts with ourselves. And because probably I come from Peru and the cultures are a little different, women, not so much now, but when I was smaller, you know, when I was a kid, women that take care of themselves were selfish, you know, they were self-centered. They don't care about anybody else. They care about themselves first. They're egoísta. That's how you say it, okay, egoísta. She only thinks about herself. But I learned not to do that. And I taught that to my girls. I remember when they were like 14, 15 years old, I got him a membership for a massage. One massage a month. But that was to teach them that it's okay to take care of yourself. It's okay to indulge. You don't have to feel guilty if one time you want to buy something expensive that you always wanted to have. You save your money and then you go and buy something that you wanted for yourself. There is nothing wrong. And you don't have to care what anybody else thinks, because of course somebody's going to have an opinion. And not everybody's going to like you, because you're not going to be the flavor of the month for everyone. So do what makes you happy so you can be happy. Obviously, you have to be responsible. I'm not telling you to break the bank and not pay your mortgage, you know what I'm saying? But in the same token, you have to have, I always tell them when we talk about money, I say, you gotta have three piles. One is your savings. One is your obligations, you know, your mortgage, your credit card, whatever it is. And the other one is your fun money, because that is important to have too. And you should be able to enjoy life and do things that make you happy. So, you know, balance. You got to balance it.
It is. I like it. I can think equally, whatever resource we have, we can think of buckets for time, you know, time for ourselves, time for obligations, time for family. And this notion of, you know, am I selfish? Am I selfless? Am I kind to myself? You know, do I put things in place that nourish me physically, mentally? And so the stimulus I'm getting, you know, we can have a phone, look at it first. And if we get a message from our mum that lights us up, how awesome is that? Versus we go and see something that is negative, that puts us in a spiral. So I think this notion and sense of being mindful of the curation of input we're getting is so valuable. And it draws me to a piece of, you describe yourself as an abundance coach. And, you know, in the variety of books that you've written, one of them is, you know, a journaling for men, you know, that again has that in the title, the Abundance Journal. Tell me a little bit more about what you perceive as abundance, and how are you enjoying that, and how can people really enjoy abundance when they might be feeling that might be challenging for them right now in their particular situation?
I think it's very important to define abundance first. And not everybody has the same idea of what abundance is. Immediately we go to material things. You know, when you say, oh, this person has so much abundance, you're thinking about things. When in reality, we can have an abundance of love. You know, we can have an abundance of health. So when I created this one for women, I Don't Shrink to Fit, my husband started using it. And, you know, it has flowers and it's very pretty. It's very girly. I was a single mom for a long time, so I'm very drawn to empower women, because that was my job, to empower myself. So I learned what worked for me. And I truly believe that when you have a gift, you have the obligation to an extent to share that gift. You know, that gift is not just for you, it's given to you, and life is putting you in a position for a reason. So you have to be able to share that gift. So my husband started writing it, and I got a couple of messages from other people that had bought my journal, which is a simple, very simple journal. It has 3 prompts in the front, and 3 prompts in the top, and 3 prompts in the bottom. Oh, I showed you the wrong page. There you go. And then in the bottom, you have an affirmation. So you start during the day being grateful, you know, making a goal for the day. How am I going to have my day better? And you already have that state of mind. So my husband, I said, let me see how it works for you. My husband is a lawyer, so he's very, you know, present, pragmatic, matter of fact. So I'm the dreamer, I'm the artist, I'm the one that has a million possibilities, and he's the one that tells me, well, but this can go wrong, okay? And I'm like, don't tell me that. I want to think that it's going to go right. So when I saw him writing in the journal, and I actually saw a change, you know, I got to the point that one week he didn't write anything. And I turned around to him and I said, you haven't been writing the journal. And he goes, how do you know? Like, kind of like, did you read my journal? You know? And I'm like, because I can see that your attitude is different. You are a little more grumpy. You are like mopping around the house. Last week, you were not like that. So somehow those prompts are influencing you in seeing life a little better. So I decided to create the one for men. It's very serious, you know, it doesn't have any flowers. The prompts are similar. The quotes are different. The affirmations are different because they're for men. And I changed, of course, a couple of things in the introduction because, you know, there are some exercises that a man probably will want to do. So I researched different ones that can help them be in touch with their emotions, because I believe that it's very important to be vulnerable. And for a lot of people, especially for men, vulnerability means I'm going to be weak. I don't want to be vulnerable because I'm going to be weak and I'm a man and I have to be strong and I have to be this and this and that. Everything that everybody tells us that we're supposed to be. So I wanted them to realize that they can be vulnerable, even if it's only here. They can write their fears. At the end of the journal, I have a space for notes, but I also have a page that says, I forgive myself for, and it's a letter that you write to yourself. And I think that is super important to have. It's here. Can you read it? It says, today I forgive myself for. And he's been writing now in the men journal, and I see again, you know, him shifting.
A shift.
So yeah. I love it. I love it. He's my guinea pig. He's my guinea pig in a way. But I have other men that have, you know, bought the journal and they give me amazing reviews, because the majority of the journals that they find online, they're very heavy or they're just empty pages and they don't have any idea what to write. And my daughter one time said to my husband, when my husband said, because we're a blended family, my husband said, now I am the head of the family. And my daughter said, yeah, but my mom is the neck and she can move you anywhere she wants. And it's not that we have to tell men what to do, but you guys need prompts sometimes, you know, and a little guidance that perhaps because you guys want to be, you know, in control or not being vulnerable, are not taken in consideration. So writing a journal for men was a little bit of a challenge for me because I'm a very girly girl, even though I was a tomboy when I was growing up. But it was a challenge, but it gave me so much pleasure and so much happiness and so much joy to see the men are open to try this and see how this is going to improve my life. And if you're having a not so great day today, you can go back in your journal and realize that it's just a not so good day, but altogether, it's a great life. You know, it's what we do out of what we get every day.
And all of those things are choices, and to be able to just take a moment to rethink what different perceptions mean about what it means for me to be me. Who do I want to be tomorrow? What do I want to take with me? Or what do I want to give myself forgiveness for? I think there's so much power in prompts, in thought, in consideration for everyone. And that opportunity, I mean, your 88 most important lessons learned in life for women who want to increase their confidence, their resilience and courage. And just that sense of brighter days. I just love this notion of being able to smile, to be bright, to be light when there is so much weight, there is so much dark, there's so much heaviness to things. And you talked a lot there about the perceptions of how society asks us to behave, how maybe a culture had a perception about women that you were growing up with, or a cultural perception about how men should behave. It's a lot of pressure, right? It was actually, your T-shirt when we first, came on screen for this recording, happy wife, happy life. Right. This notion that transcending life with happiness, no matter the environment, no matter what's going on, I think really resonates. And I'd like to go back to maybe a few things in your life, in your career, that have helped form this view, this form of gratitude, this form of journalism, this form of kindness, and the pillars of how you live your life. That when you started out in television, tell me what happened, what was going on. You took on some really groundbreaking big roles. You were very young when you became a producer. Tell me a little bit more about that story and how you reflect now on some of those key moments of how it shaped you.
I learned to be my biggest fan. I wasn't my biggest fan when I was growing up. And again, talking about perceptions, and I was talking about this to one of my daughters yesterday, because we think all the time what other people are going to think. Instead, we should think what I think about myself. When I look at myself in the mirror, what do I see? Am I proud? I said to one of my daughters, I have 3 daughters, and the middle one is my Woodstock girl. She has a mind of her own, 26 hours of labor. She came whenever she wanted to come. She always does things on her own. I'm sorry, my allergies are going crazy because it has been windy. So I said to her, you only have to give an explanation to God and yourself. There are going to be moments in your life that you're going to do something, you're going to make a decision, and I'm not going to like it, perhaps. That doesn't mean I'm going to stop loving you. I'm going to love you. I might not like you, but I'm going to still love you forever. And so for a period of time, there were some things that I didn't want to talk about, because instead of thinking about my own healing, I was thinking about how people that was in my life when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, when I was younger, were going to receive what I was saying. And you don't have to explain your feelings. Those are your feelings. You own those feelings. So if I say I was a very lonely child, that is not an attack to my mother. That is not an attack to my dad. It's not an attack to anybody. Those were my feelings. And for the longest time, I put those feelings on the side, and I was what I thought people wanted me to be. And it was very painful. So I started working on myself to become my biggest fan. which is kind of funny because the first soap opera that I was in was the most successful soap opera in my country. It was in 38 countries. It was translated. When I met my ex-husband's mom, she spoke to me in Italian. I'm fluent now, but she spoke to me in Italian because she has seen my soap opera, and she assumed I speak Italian. I'm like, what are you talking about? You know? And she's like, ma tu parli italiano? No. Yeah, oh, io ti ho visto. No, io non parlo italiano. Because she assumed, you know? And even though I have all those fans that loved me and they look up to me, I didn't. And I was very famous. And I would look at myself in the mirror and I was like, who is this person? And I would look at myself on the screen and I was like, it's great that everybody loves me, but I don't love myself. And what am I doing? You know, I'm looking for that reassurance. I'm looking for that love. Can you hear me? Something move.
Yeah, it's all
Can
good.
you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I'm looking for all that somewhere else. And I need to start looking for that inside myself. And that's where I started working on myself. And I have felt many times. I got a divorce. I've been betrayed. I have had very tough moments, but in every moment, I reminded myself who I was and who I am. And I become resilient. I was all the time thinking, if it's up to me, I got this, I have this. I'm not gonna let any circumstance define who I am. I had a quote, if you let me read it, because I don't want to mess it up. It says, the opportunity of a lifetime is to pick yourself. Quit waiting to get picked. Quit waiting for someone to give you permission. Quit waiting for someone to say you are officially qualified, and pick yourself. And for me, that is not only pick up yourself, but it's also choose yourself. You got to choose yourself first. And that was so important. I think that's one of my biggest lessons. And that's something that I wanted to pass to my kids. You know, you are enough. Everything that you need to succeed, you already have it. You just have to develop those gifts and become the person that you want to become, not the person that your mom, your aunt, your boss, anybody else want for you, the person that you want to become. So my time in the soap operas was great. I had a lot of fun, but I was not fulfilled. And I didn't come to that realization until many years after I stopped doing soap operas. When I was very young, my first marriage, I was very, very young. And when I think about it now, I think I got married because I was lonely, not for the right reasons. And I stopped doing soap operas. I think after I got married, I think I did a miniseries and another soap opera, and then I stopped. He was a producer, so I learned a lot from him, and I produced things from him. You know, I was behind the camera, and I even created a manual for because we went to Brazil to take a training for production, whatever, and I created this training, and I vividly remember him saying, let's type it out and let's have it for other producers to use it. And then he put his name on it, and I said, but I wrote it. And he goes, yeah, but you're a girl. Like, who's gonna buy a journal from a 21-year-old? You know what I'm saying? And I believe that. I bought that. You know what I'm explaining to you? I bought it. I was like, oh yeah, you're right. Who's gonna buy that if I'm a girl and I'm 21? I had people coming to our office and asking for me because they thought I was probably or the secretary or the assistant or whatever, you know? And now when I think in retrospect, when I think about it, I'm like, I was so lost. And I was still looking for that validation. You know, it's like when you work and work and work and work, and you still don't know if you're higher. You still don't know if you're enough. You still don't know if you fit in. You still don't know if you're qualified. But all those conversations are conversations we have with ourselves. Nobody came to us and say, hey, you're not qualified, but we're still going to give you the job. No. So my whole journey, you know, has been the school of my life, because I have learned in every experience, good or bad. You would think, oh my gosh, she was so famous. She was this, she was that, you know, she probably had a great life and she had all this happiness. And I did have a lot of blessings. Don't take me wrong. There were many moments of joy and happiness, but I was empty. I was empty inside. And everything that I did, I think it was because I was looking for that love that somehow I wasn't receiving. And I'm not saying that my parents didn't love me. I had an amazing relationship with my dad, and we live with my mom. With my parents were divorced, but it's not, everybody shows love in a different way. And they were not hitting my love languages. You know, my dad once said to me, you have to learn to love people the way they want to be loved. And he didn't know anything about the 5 languages of, you know, he had no idea. But I know I lost you again, I think. Something is happening with my...
You're coming through just great. Okay, and actually, it's a good little pause moment in so many things that you've just shared in terms of this sense of validation versus self-validation, our discovery that we go through, and everyone's life is a life of paradox. Yes. You know, we can have from the outside many things that look great, and on the inside be the opposite, and vice versa, as we travel through the journey. And I love this thought, and I've had it a lot myself as well, Claudia, in this sense of enough. Do we have an enough button? Do we have a moment where we can hold that paradox of being at peace in a sense of enough, but yet still want more? And live with those two moments, that you can be in complete choice, in complete control, in complete moment of happiness that I'm enough, and I also choose I want to expand. And I think that poetic dance in life is what brings amazing creativity, brings amazing stories, brings amazing opportunities for people to be at the bottom and be at the top, and grow in these things. Now, in terms of, you know, you talked a lot about how your culture shaped you, you know, a lot of taboos, a lot of beliefs, a lot of things that either distorted you or evolved you, empowered you throughout those journeys. When everyone's in their careers, in their work, whatever work they choose, coaching, acting, producing, whatever that may be, we have a sense of how we should behave. And we have a sense of obligation. We have a sense of feeling, I'm not enough, I'm not qualified, as you've just said, to, I'm so overqualified, this is boring. That is part of life. But what's interesting is these transitions of who is the puppeteer? Is it other people or is it ourselves? And I think everyone reaches a moment in their lives where the puppeteer transitions from parents, from peers, from others to ourselves. And we become our own, as you mentioned, pick ourselves, puppeteer ourselves, being a choice of how we move, how we dance, how we operate. And so that passion that you've found now to share your own experiences to help others realize their potentials, what are some of the key, maybe you can share a couple of the, you know, important lessons, you've shared so many already, but what are some of the key insights, some of the key skills, some of your thoughts around, you mentioned confidence and resilience and these things. Share a little bit more about some of those for us, Claudia.
I think it's very important to have goals and to set by whens. That's something that I always tell my clients. It's first you start with the why, obviously, and you ask why as many times as you need to ask why until you really know why. It's okay to be impulsive sometimes, we're humans. It's okay to be impulsive. But when you're going to make a very important decision in your life, or you want to make a change in your life, ask yourself, why? Why am I doing this? And then once you decide that, yes, this is what I want to do, set times. By September 15, I'm going to achieve this. By June 30th of 2025, I'm going to change my car. And then you start working that direction. That's one of the things that I always tell when I have these deep conversations with my clients, which you probably have that experience as well. They come with an outfit, because it's like when we clean the house before the housekeeper comes, they come with an outfit.
So you've met my wife. She cleans the house before I clean the house.
It's like, yeah, I don't want to be judged, So they sit in the couch and they start with well, I mean, I'm fine. I'm very happy. But I think there is some things I could change, but I'm fine. Like, don't think I have a problem, which is okay to have a problem. I have a problem. You have a problem. Everybody has problems. Everybody has what we call problems and things that we need to grow from and learn from. So after I get them naked, in a way of speaking, and we have an authentic, vulnerable conversation, and they realize that they are not fine, but they're okay. They're fine, but they're not what they define as fine. And they start digging and they start validating what they do have, and they start seeing the abundance they already have in their life. Then they're more free to set those goals, because they're not coming here with an empty bucket. They already know all the gifts they have, all the blessings they have. So I divide my coaching in kind of like a discovery part, where and I learned that actually on emotional intelligence seminar that I did here in Las Vegas. It's called Choice. And let's go through Discover. I adapted into my my coaching, because obviously these are 2 weekends and it's like a lot longer than that, but I don't do the exercise or anything like that. But the word discovery, I adopted it, because I think we need to discover who we are first before we gotta take the next step to become what we want to become. So being honest with yourself, being authentic with yourself, is very important to realize what is the work we need to do to become the person that we want to become. So that's one of the things that I do right from the get-go. Let's get naked. Tell me how you really feel. There is nobody here. I'm not recording you. This is just you. Okay, I feel like a loser. Why? Why? Talk to me. Why do you feel like a loser? Well, because my friend so-and-so is already married and have 3 kids and I don't even have a boyfriend. It's not your time. I truly believe everybody has gifts, but they unwrap their gifts in a different time. So you cannot compare yourself with the neighbor or the girl that you see in Instagram, because you might have more gift than that person. But perhaps that opportunity came to that person before it came to you. That doesn't mean it's not going to come to you. It means that you have something else to learn before that opportunity comes to you. And yay that you have more to learn, because that means that when that opportunity comes, you're really going to be prepared. You're really going to be enough.
It reminds me quickly of a quote from my coach, Dan Sullivan. He talks, and his piece that's relevant here is, all progress starts with telling the truth.
Yeah.
And so to get to that point that we can tell the truth to ourselves and to others, and to know that these things, these opportunities of discovery, it exists within, and it is an expansion, not a pursuit. And that opportunity and just that shift, I think, can be so powerful for people. And as they go through their adaptations and their transitions of their identity from an actress to a producer, to a writer, to a coach, you know, to a art director, to all of these things that for many of us identify to ourselves and to others who we are, but it doesn't mean anything other than a phrase, a word. How we choose to
label yourself,
that, label ourselves, all of these things. We are a society that just loves labels. And
that's what I wrote. This is why I wrote it. I don't shrink to fit, because I wanted this right from the get-go. When you grab this journal, you are saying that you are not going to shrink to fit. It's an affirmation from the get-go. You wake up and you say, today, I'm not going to shrink to fit. I'm going to shine. I'm going to be myself. I'm going to be a superpower girl. I'm going to be a boss girl. That's what I'm going to be today. And nobody's going to stop me, because I got what I need to become what I want to become. And those are the conversations we got to have with ourselves. I mean, it's so dangerous sometimes, the things that we say to ourselves. And since we don't miss what we don't know, because we never had it, you know, we are stuck in this bubble that we created with all these beliefs, with all this evidence that we're going to grab from everywhere because we are right. And this is what it is. And nobody's going to make me change my mind. That we don't go a step forward. We don't progress. We're stuck. But why are you stuck? Who's doing this to you? Yourself. And the minute that you realize that, you take your power back. And that is when I see one of my clients taking their power back, listen, my eyes are getting watery, because it's so empowering to me. I'm like, wow, we did this together. And you're going to shine, and you're going to be that person that you are. I have clients that are not my clients anymore, but they call me to catch up. You know, that's the freebie session, you know, and I see them doing amazing things, and I love that. But sometimes they call me because they had a breakdown, you know, and I tell them, hey, after every breakdown, you're going to have a breakthrough, and you're going to learn from that, and you're going to be fabulous, because it's in you and you have the tools. You just got to remember. You got to remember the tools that you have, the experience that you have. Why are you in the same place that you were last year? Because that decision was yours. What is your responsibility? What did you do to be in the same place that you were last year? Or what you didn't do to be in the same place that you were last year? So for me, empowering people is, my husband said, is my high.
It's that opportunity, isn't it, to allow somebody, you mentioned, you know, to be your biggest fan, to be your own cheerleader, and that energy that comes from that can help build courage, whatever we're facing. Just before we come to a close, I've got two more bits I want to cover, Claudia, and I want to dig in a little bit to where you maybe transitioned from a version of yourself that was allowing others to put their name on your work, that was a person who was performing in a way but didn't feel they could own that space, that it was perhaps theirs to have. And then it switched to this version of you we hear and see now that has a level of confidence, that has a level of an ability to articulate, to share, to give their thoughts without fear of either judgment or fear of whether it's enough or not enough. You're sharing from a state of abundance.
Yeah.
Whether there was a particular event, a particular trigger, was there something that helped you through to realize that of yourself, from going where, hey, I'm not worthy of X, to now I am? What happened? What went on in that moment? Because I think there's many who might be listening who are perhaps in that moment. They're in a role, they're in a job, they're in a position, and they see a version of themselves today and they see another version of themselves in the future, but they don't know how to navigate towards that. And I just want to see if there's some pieces in your own journey that you navigated that we can learn from.
I got divorced with 3 kids under 5. And it was very hard, to say the least. I clearly remember one night after living in a big house and everything, because at the first 2 years after I got divorced, it wasn't a friendly thing with my husband, my ex-husband. And so I, again, was by myself a lot, and I had to figure it out. I had to figure out things on my own. And I vividly remember one night, after living in a big house and having cars outside, whatever, I was in a little apartment with my 3 girls. The 3 of them were in one room. And I woke up, I couldn't sleep, but I was tossing in the bed, whatever. And I woke up, got out of bed, and went to my kids' room. And I watched my 3 girls there. And I'm gonna try not to get emotional. And I remember me as a kid. And I remember, sorry, you really hit a nerve. I remember not getting answers, not knowing what was going to happen. Nobody sat with me and say, because my parents got divorced really when I was like 4 or 5 years old. So I was very little too. And I remember that girl. And I wanted to go back in time to that girl and say, you know what? I'm coming from a time in your life that is very tough right now, but come here and let me give you a hug, because everything is going to be okay. I promise you, everything is going to be okay. And I usually have my clinics in the table with my clients. I don't get to cry with them. And looking at them, I promise to myself, I am not going to fail. I am going to get up. I'm going to pick up myself, and I'm going to make every day a happy day for these 3 kids. And I'm going to teach them to love their dad. And I'm going to teach them to love life. And I'm going to teach them to have the best memories that I possibly can give them. So when they are adults, they can look back and say, yes, my parents were divorced, but I had a happy life. Because that didn't determine what kind of life I was going to have. Because my mom worked very hard to give us a happy life. And every time I was in a fork, I would think about that and say, this is my reason. They are my why. I'm going to keep on going. And I vividly remember a movie of this dad that I don't remember the title. It wasn't Beautiful Life. It is a Beautiful Life, something like that. This guy that was in a Jewish guy that had his kid in a concentrating camp, and he make it a game. So the kid never found out he was on that situation. And that was so inspiring to me, not only because it taught me how shift things around so I can give my girls that joyful moment every single day, even by doing laundry. Let's make piles, and where are the reds and where are the whites? And, not only doing that, but also, let's go have a picnic. And there were times, honestly, that I was very short with money, and I would take them to McDonald's and buy them a little Happy Meal. And my kids would say, Mommy, you're not going to eat? I ate already. This is your picnic. And they never felt they didn't have something. And I could have called probably for help or do whatever. I was by myself here in Las Vegas. I didn't have anyone. So I had to figure it out. And my fuel was that, making a better life for my girls. I had financially a lot more when I was a kid than when I was a single mom at the beginning, then life got better. But money wasn't the deciding point. It was here and it was here. And I wanted to create those moments of happiness for them. And just by doing that, I was shifting every day. I wasn't paying attention of what I didn't have. I was paying attention to what I did have.
I really want to thank you for sharing that, because for everyone, they'll have their moment, they'll have their part in their story. And I've been gifted to talk to many people who've gone through losses in their family, have gone through all sorts of moments that have triggered a way in which there's a choice. So, and an event happens that builds an energy to choose who are we wanting to be and how do we want to manifest that. And it starts with the little things, doesn't it? It starts with those little choices each day, whether it's the joy in laundry, whether it is the memories when things, they're abundant because our mind allows them to be seen as abundant. And our heart can grow from that. And I think it's a really great opportunity to this moment and sense of, I am enough. There is elements here to coming full circle to be grateful for. And then when we start our day with gratitude, we can take on anything, and we can take on whatever challenges we have, and just each day making that small little step towards better versions for everyone around us. My last question for you, and as you've listened to a few, you're probably going to know what it might be, but it's around curiosity. And it's around this idea of, as we go through lives, we often limit our experiences. We limit what our thoughts are, what our capabilities might be. So my question is for you, Claudia, is when was the last time you did something for the first time, and what was it?
Oof. First of all, I do things new all the time because I love to learn. I'm a sponge. So I can tell you a lot of things that I have done, but the last thing that I have done, oh, Jesus. Well, you know what? Actually, it was writing my journal, because I never thought I would write a journal for somebody else. And that was a little challenging, because when you write a book, you have a content. So people might or not might be interested in your content. But when you write a journal, you're practically telling the person, you have to be the author of your book. And that was, I wasn't scared, because I don't write to become a millionaire. I mean, if that happened, hey, yay, but it's not in the top of my list. I write to share what I have inside me and what I can give and my gifts. So, writing the journal was a first time for me, and I loved it. I loved it, and I loved the feedback, and I love the impact that I can have in somebody's life, just to make one day at a time better for them, for a better life.
I love that idea of being able to share with ourselves, share with others, and the opportunity we can get for feed forward. The feedback that we get allows us to move forward, to choose from that gift of information to either say thanks, but no thanks, or thank you, and evolve and shape as we go forward.
I know we are tied with
on
money.
on the final cusp.
Yeah. So really fast, when somebody gives you a gift and you don't want it, that gift belongs to the other person. Yeah. So it's okay to say no sometimes to those gifts.
Yeah.
And say yes
to do it with elegance, to do it with thanks, and to do it with appreciation.
In a place of love.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I don't want your gift.
Yeah.
I'm going to say no to you, and I'm going to say yes to me.
Yeah. And it comes to another point, is that selfish or selfless, or is that actually part of how we need to be more of? To be more of ourselves. And it's a gift to both. It's a gift to you and to that other person, so that they can understand, we can evolve, and we can find this beautiful thing called life that gifts us a smile in the morning and a smile before we go to bed. And we're in control of that. If people want to get in touch with you, Claudia, what's the best way? How can they get hold of your books, your journals? I
have a website which is called Brightest Days Book. I'll send it to you so you can
we can put it on the bottom.
Yep. They can reach me there, and then I am in Instagram as Cindy freaking Rella.
I love it.
But I will send you some links so you can put them in the bottom. It was such a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much. True gifts that you've been sharing, and I look forward to you sharing more of your abundance in the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Do you have the level of adaptability to survive and thrive the rapid changes ahead? Has your resilience got more comeback than a yo-yo? Do you have the ability to unlearn in order to reskill, upskill and break through? Find out today and uncover your adaptability profile and score, your AQ. Visit AQai.io to gain your personalized report across 15 scientifically validated dimensions of adaptability. For a limited time, enter code PODCAST65 for a complimentary AQ-Me assessment. AQai, transforming the way people, teams, and organizations navigate change. Thank you for listening to this episode of Decoding AQ. Please make sure you subscribe on your favorite podcast directory, and we'd love to hear your feedback. Please do leave a review and be sure to tune in next time for more insights from our amazing guests.